All right. This is the. Somebody just. Okay, that confused the crap out of me. This is the 45th, I think, episode of the Running My Mouth podcast. I am your low on ink host, Aaron, and allow me to run my mouth for a little bit. So, as you know, or maybe you don't, which if you don't, puzzling, but if you don't, I have been preparing for Couch Fest for the past few weeks, and today I have finally completed. Well, I say completed. I mean, I made the first few that I'm gonna make. I don't know if I'm gonna make more. I'm looking at the stack over here, but I've completed printing the zines that I will bring to Couch Fest. I have 10 copies of each, and 5 different zines that I'm bringing. Some are longer than others. I do have the stack right here on my coffee table, because that's where I have been folding and stapling them, but here it is. Here is everything in beautiful pastels just in time for Easter. That was not intentional. I didn't even know that Couch Fest was the day before Easter until my mom said something about it. And I was in the store and I wanted to, put colorful covers on my zine. So I was like, okay, I'll choose the pastels because I felt like the other ones were just too bright. And I wanted something a little bit more subdued. So I got pastels. And here they are. As you can see, some are thicker than others. This blue one here is my Burning Windsor article. And it is pretty long. It is, let me see. I don't think I've counted the pages on this one yet. We got 1, 2, 3. These don't have page numbers on them, by the way. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 pages this zine, and the other ones are not this long, thankfully, because like I said, I'm out of ink. I did just put a new ink cartridge in my printer because I bought one today because I knew I was going to need one to finish printing up this lot, but I already knew this. This is a fact of life, but ink is just so expensive. I have a Canon printer. I bought it some months ago because my original printer that I had all throughout college was our family's old printer. It was an HP printer, and after a while, I couldn't find the ink in stores anywhere, so I was like, okay, well, I guess it's time for me to get a new printer, because it started to be impossible for me to find ink. And so I got this Canon printer because it was the cheapest one available. Unfortunately, I did not check whether or not it could print front and back. Technically, it can print front and back in that you print it, it comes out, and then you put it back in the tray, and then it'll print the back side, which is rather tedious. I wish it wasn't like that. I wish I got an actual printer that printed front and back, but then I would have to spent, more than $40 or $30 on the one that I have. And, the ink, let's see, I have this entire stack of paper. All of it's been printed on. So, I've gone through, let's see, I had not even the original ink cartridge. That was the second one that I bought. So I had that one, and that was mostly full. And then that ran out. And then I bought a backup cartridge thinking, okay, I bought an XL one too. And I thought, okay, this should be enough for all of my zines. Wrong answer. Very wrong answer. I printed out my longest ones first. I don't know why I did that, but this blue one here, this is technically 5 pages. And this pink one here is not 6. It's 4. Yes, it's 4 pages. I had to think. 4 pages, and then I have 10 of these. That's, 40 pages printed front and back, or, this is 5 sheets of paper printed front and back. That's 50 sheets. So, maybe the capacity is actually normal, and I'm just printing a lot of stuff. And, keep in mind, especially for this one, because I had to make the text smaller so that, you can't even read it from here, but I had to make the text smaller so that it would fit into 5 pages and not be too many freaking pages. So, I've spent, I want to say, like, I don't know, $66 on ink, or no, more than that, $68 maybe on ink, because these ink cartridges, just the black, by the way, because these are only printed in black and white, that was, I had to buy 2 XL cartridges, because I thought, the XL, it's going to be enough. It's not enough. And, if I am going to be doing the zine thing for much longer, I was thinking, because, like, my job, we don't do a lot of stuff on paper anymore. They used to at some point. I do know some of the, like, anchors and stuff print their scripts out, but usually they don't. So there's not really a reason for people to be printing stuff out, and I don't want to be, in the printing room and someone's asking me, like, hey, what are you printing out? And I have to tell them, oh, my little articles. And it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Maybe if I worked somewhere else, but not at this current job, because there really is no reason for me to be using the printer anyways, Like, I can't even tell you how many times I've had to print something out for actual work-related purposes, because there is no reason. There's been no time. So, I'm keeping them in this shoebox, which, yes, you will recognize this as my Valentine's Day shoebox. This probably isn't going to be its permanent home. I just needed to put it somewhere, and I still have this dang shoebox, so I might as well make use of it. But yes, if you have not heard the good news, no, I'm not going to say the thought that came in my head. If you don't know, Couch Fest is, let's see, as I'm recording this, not this upcoming Saturday, but the Saturday after this, Saturday, April 19th at Urban Foxes. The art pop-up, which I will be at, lasts from noon to sunset. And I don't know when sunset is, but I would assume, sunset for today versus next Saturday might not be that different. So I can just look at what sunset was today. When did the sun set? 7:24. So let's say, 7:30. So from about noon to 7:30, I will be posted up with my wares at a table, and you can visit me and you can purchase them from me for a reasonable price. And I will also have stickers. I can't believe I haven't shown my stickers yet. They came in the mail like a couple weeks ago, but they're very small. So they will be free. Those stickers will be free. I have 100 of them. So if my zines do manage to sell out, which I hope they will, but I don't know if they will, but if they do, then you'll still be able to get a sticker from me that you can put in a very inconspicuous place, because like I said, they are very small. They're 2.5 inches, and I got them from Sticky Brand, which this isn't sponsored, but it could be. It could be. But I'm not being paid to say this. They're decent, the quality. I don't know how good they stick, because, I have quite a few stickers from, like, bands and stuff, and I don't stick them to anything. I have a cork wall. That's my sticker and pin wall, and I just pin them up. I put paper clips through them, and then I put the pins through the paper clips, because I don't want to put holes through them. So yeah, they're not actually stuck to anything, so I don't know how well they stick, these Sticky Brand stickers, but they did turn out very well. They're gloss, and I paid about, I think, including shipping, it was like $32. But I did get the cheapest ones, which were the 2.5 inch ones, and they are, again, quite small. They are, I would say, about as long as my middle finger, and I have small hands, so, that's what I'm working with. That was definitely on me, though. I just, for whatever reason, have a hard time imagining the size of something. So, I saw it said 2.5 inches. I thought, oh, okay, that's gonna be a decent size. And no, it was not. But they still turned out pretty good, even though they're very small. But the next time that I order through them, because I do want to get more stickers made, because they're fun, I'll go with a bigger size. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing these past couple days, printing and folding and stapling and worrying that I'm not going to have enough ink. And I mean, I still ended up having to buy a second cartridge, but I had enough ink. But God, ink is just so expensive. I think what I'm going to do. Oh my God. Okay, that was my stapler. That's on my coffee table. By the way, these guys, these are pretty good. This is like I guess like an extended stapler. This also cost a bit. This I think was like $31 or something like that. I got it from Office Depot. You could probably find one either for cheaper or, I don't know, like way cheaper if you go to a thrift store. But the thing about me is when I'm looking for something specific, I want to be sure that it's going to be at the store that I'm trying to buy it from. Like, I don't need to go and like look around. If I'm just like looking around, then like, yeah, it's fine. And when I like happen upon something, then it's like, yeah, that's cool. But I needed specifically a long stapler, so I went directly to Office Max. And again, I could have probably found one for way cheaper through other means, but I just needed it, okay? And now I have it, and I will probably have it for a very long time because this is one big solid piece of metal. Like this could do some damage. Not to like make a weapon out of everything, but this feels lethal, you know? And it is pretty heavy. It's pretty weighty. Anyways, this is what I've been using to staple my zines because, a standard stapler, it doesn't go far enough, because let's see. These are just regular 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper and, fold them in half to make my zines. I don't know if I said this before, but I used Adobe InDesign to do the layout for them. It's very easy. I never used InDesign before doing this. Even though I did take a graphic design class, it was an intro class, but I still took a graphic design class in college. And we talked about like layout design and stuff like that. We didn't really go very deep into it, but we talked about it enough that I still remember it after all these years because I took that class in 2017, and yes, it has been some years since 2017. And I could sort of kind of apply that to InDesign. And also, the layout of my zines is simple enough where I only have to do like a few things and then they'll just turn out how they turn out. And with the thanks of a tutorial that was, I want to say, like 11 years old, I was able to do that. Thank God for like YouTube tutorials from like the early 2010s, They just don't make them like that anymore. Probably because they got the job done well enough that you didn't really need to make another tutorial. Speaking of tutorials, I was thinking about this recently because I have been on, I guess, a nostalgia kick. And oh man, yeah. So when I was a kid, I mean, the game still exists, by the way. I don't think there's been a new installment for quite some time. But when I was like in the 6th grade, so this is back 2010 or 2011 to 2012, I was really into these games. This is a series of games called Virtual Villagers. And I believe they were made by the company Last Day of Work, which also made like a bunch of different like tycoon games, like Fish Tycoon, which I love because it was on some like Flash Games website. I can't remember the name of the Flash game website, but I do know it was not Cool Math Games and it was not Girls Go Games because Fish Tycoon is not exactly a girly game. But it was basically, Fish Tycoon was a game where you had to run a fish store and you had to like breed your fish and like sell them to people. And anytime we had computer time in class when I was in the 5th grade, I would play it because I don't know, I just really liked it. I love a tycoon game though. I love Roller Coaster Tycoon. There's this game called Indie Dev Tycoon that I liked for a while. I love a tycoon game. One thing about me is that I will tear up a tycoon game, so it was right up my alley. But aside from that, Last Day at Work also made the series of games Virtual Villagers. I believe there were 5 of them that were made. But my favorites were not 1 but 2 and maybe 3 and 4. So okay, the original one is like fine. It's just kind of basic, but there was one where you so there's the secret city. I do remember that one because that was my favorite. Um and in that one you had like a series of puzzles to do. Like it was really involved and it was a lot of fun. But the thing about virtual villagers is that it ran on real time. So I mean, like, Animal Crossing or something like that, the time in real life is the time in the game, basically. And in order to progress, you had to like wait, like actual time. But being that I was a child and impatient, and I am still kind of impatient, so how much has changed aside from the fact that I'm not a child anymore? Um, you would you would change the time on your computer's clock, and then that would make time go faster. But this is all relating back to tutorials because there were certain. So basically, in order for your village to be successful, because your villagers could die and they could also reproduce, but they could die, is that you had to have food. And early on, it's like really hard to keep the necessary amount of food. I really need to go back and play this game because it really has been years since I've played Virtual Villagers. Oh man. But anyways, you had to get food, but it was really hard to get food, and you had to have scientist villagers that could like create like science points. Those are basically technically food wasn't currency, but the science points were currency to like upgrade parts of your village. But in order to do science, you had to, wait because it was a real-time game. And of course, food was just kind of hard to get because if you didn't have enough like hunters or fishers or whatever, you couldn't get enough food. But there is this program, and it might still be around, it might not, I really don't know, but it was called Cheat Engine. And basically, it allowed you to go into like not really the code. I don't really know exactly how it worked, but it allowed you to go into the code of a game and like activate certain cheats. But it operated such that it was just all numbers. So you basically had to know which number meant what, and you could change the value of that number. And in virtual villagers, it would give you more science points and more food. And when I was like, I want to say 12, I made a tutorial on how to do that in virtual villagers using, of course, I'm pretty sure I used like Hypercam, unregistered Hypercam 2, of course. And Windows Movie Maker is what I edited my videos on. By the way, having used something like Premiere, I think I would die if I tried to use Windows Movie Maker because it just was not good. It just was not. I mean, it got the job done. I was able to make YouTube videos with it somehow, but goodness gracious, Anyways, yeah, back in 2012, I made a YouTube tutorial about how to use Cheat Engine to get more science points and more food in virtual villagers, and it worked for all of the games, by the way. And also, I am very sad to report that I deleted like every video off of and I really wish I didn't do this, but I deleted every video from like my OG YouTube channel. I still use that account because I've had it since like 2011, 2010. And I still have like all of my old I mean, that is the account that I use to watch YouTube. That is like my main YouTube account, but all the videos are gone. And because I don't have I do still have my old laptop, but it doesn't turn on anymore. All those videos are gone. That's like lost media. That's crazy. Not only that, but all of those videos and all of like my old Sims machinimas, which that I'm more mad about. That all my old Sims machinimas are gone. Like, I really wish I still had them, but I don't. I do have a couple. I made a YouTube video like 4 years ago going through some of my old Sims 2 machinimas. So they still exist on a hard drive somewhere that I have, but that virtual villagers tutorial and a bunch of other old videos are just gone. And that's crazy. But anyways, like I said, I've been on a little nostalgia kick. I don't know why. I think it happens when I get just a little stressed out, I'm not really stressed out. Like, I don't feel stressed out, but I feel like part of me is just wanting the comfort and just, the feeling that came along with playing old video games that I used to play when I was a kid. And also, so the Minecraft movie is in theaters now, and I'm not gonna see it because I just have no desire to. It's not for me. It really isn't for me, I don't think. I don't know. I mean, I haven't read a single review about it, but, I do wonder if they put stuff in there for, like, the beta players from, 2010, 2011. Is there giant zombies? Are giant zombies in the Minecraft movie? I don't know. Which is really weird that they took giant zombies out, but also I don't think they could ever spawn naturally anyways. So, anywho, um, the Minecraft movie is in theaters, and I was like, I do wonder if this one server that was like popping back in the day is still around. And if you know, it's the Shotbow server, and it is still around, but the player numbers have dwindled significantly. Like, Shotbow used to be the server, like, that was the tippy toppy Minecraft server to play on. Like, it had 5,000 people on it at once in its heyday, probably more than that, if I had to guess. And there was this one game that you can play on the Shotbow server. It's called Mindsy. It's basically the Minecraft version of DayZ. And I remember being so obsessed with Mindsy when I was a kid because, and we're really about to go back, but there's this YouTuber, still is, he still makes videos to this day, astonishingly, good for him, called Uber Haxer Nova. And, you just had to be there, okay? And he had a series with one of the other creatures, which was the OG content house, the creatures, which that crashed and burned in a not really even spectacular way. It just kind of fizzled out, actually. I wouldn't even say crashed and burned. It just kind of dwindled. It reached its natural conclusion, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, Uber Haxer Nova and Dan's News. This feels so crazy to talk about as an adult, but they had a Minecraft series on the Mindsy server, and at the time, I did not have a not pirated copy, so I couldn't go on, like, normal servers. And I wanted nothing more than to play on the Mindsy server so bad when I was, like, 12 and 13. Eventually, I did get a real copy of the game. I bought it for myself for Christmas, I think in like 2013. And I played on the Mindsy server so much back when it was like on and poppin'. And I went back to see, first of all, does the server even exist anymore? Because again, it's been literally a decade. I don't want to think about that too hard, but it has been literally a decade. Oh my God. Anyways, it's been over a decade, since this server has been around. Like, is it even still up? It is still up. I played a little bit yesterday, and there were like 100 people total on the server, and maybe like a handful of people playing Mindsy. And the whole thing about Mindsy, and by extension DayZ, is that, the whole thing about DayZ is that it wasn't the zombies that you had to be afraid of, it was the other players. But, when you're playing a game, a multiplayer game, and there's like not a lot of people around, then, the allure is kind of lost. Because, back in the day, there was a very high likelihood that you could just like bump into people, and then there would be like danger, But now it's just like, okay. I mean, the map is nice. It's a very well-made map, but it's like, all right, okay. And so I also got another lark yesterday to play Ace of Spades, and I have made a video on my main channel about Ace of Spades. Again, this is like 5 years ago. Crazy. The thing about, yes, 5 years ago I made a video about Ace of Spades. And basically, to recap that, I mean, it's an 8-minute video, so there's not much to recap. But to recap it, there's this game that I used to play. It was a voxel-based shooter called Ace of Spades. It was very simplistic, and it was very popular back in the day. The game got bought by JXN, which you may know as the developers of RuneScape, and they basically ran it into the ground. They didn't really, manage the community very well, and the changes that they made just weren't very well liked. And it lasted right up until, I want to say, like 2019, until they just shut it down completely. But there have been some people that have resurrected the OG version of Ace of Spades. And to my surprise, again, I would have totally understood if that would have flopped or folded as well. Because again, it's been a really long time. But no, there are still Ace of Spades servers. They are not as populated as they used to be. Like, all of the other games that I played when I was a kid, they're not as populated as they used to be. But they're still there, and you can still play them. And honestly, I really liked Ace of Spades when I was a kid, because I didn't really play a whole lot of, like, shooter games or online shooter games, because I don't know, I just felt like I wasn't very good at them. But Ace of Spades to me felt fun, even if I wasn't very good, I was still having fun. And it was very simplistic. And also keep in fact that at the time, when I was playing things like Minecraft and Ace of Spades and Virtual Villagers, I had a netbook. I had a very crappy netbook. It was an eMachines netbook, which that is probably dating myself even more, because I don't even think eMachines is still around. I think their whole thing was that they sold this one computer, and it was like, it's the last computer that you'll ever own, because we'll keep sending you gear upgrades for it. And, that was a pretty cool concept, but given that eMachines, I'm pretty sure the company has folded. You're not getting any new gear upgrades from them for that one. Anyways, I had an eMachines netbook. It was very crappy. It ran Windows 7 Starter Edition, and it had 1 gig of RAM. So I could only play, like, really simple games. And Ace of Spades actually ran well on my laptop, which is also part of why I liked it so much, because it wasn't a slideshow trying to play it, So it's just, a lot of good memories. But I guess something could be said about growing up, the servers that you played on aren't around anymore. Or if they are, nobody's on them. So yeah, memories. I do kind of want to go back and play The Secret City for Virtual Villagers. That'd be so much fun. And I think they had a couple other games. They had Virtual Families, but that one wasn't as fun as Virtual Villagers, if I'm being honest. Let me see. Is Last Day of Work still around? Last Day of Work. Well, their Wikipedia says is. I wonder if they've made anything like recently. Because they were founded in 2002. So they had Plant Tycoon. I don't even know what Plant Tycoon is. Fish Tycoon 2. There is a sequel. I didn't even know that. Okay, so there's 6. Oh, interesting. So this Virtual Villagers: A New Home, that was the original one, and that one was just kind of okay. There was The Lost Children. There's The Secret City, that's number 3, that's the one that I like a lot. The Tree of Life, wait, hold on. No, I think I'm thinking of the Tree of Life. That one was legit. I think 3 and 4 were, like, the best. And then there's New Believers, which was kind of okay. And then Divine Destiny, I don't even know what that is. That one might be, like, new. Oh, man. Let's see, what's on their website? Oh, their website has not changed at all. Oh, at all. Oh, and they have, their games are, sorry. They have, they're on iOS. Oh, I see, Virtual Town, whatever that is. Virtual Families, Fish Tycoon. Isola, that was the name of the island from Virtual Villagers. And it's available on, like, iOS and Android. Interesting. But I, of course, only ever played, like, the PC version. Oh, I see. Hold on. So all of these are free. Virtual Villagers 4, 5, 3, 2. Yeah, all of them are free now. Because before you did have to pay for them. And let me tell you, I did not. I was big on pirating games when I was a kid because I had no money. I didn't feel like asking my parents, only to be told no. So, I became resourceful. I became very resourceful, and I learned how to torrent things. But now that, it's free, I mean, I could just go and download it. I honestly think I might do that. If only it weren't almost 8 o'clock, I would have more time to do this. But anyways, that's what I've been up to this weekend. Playing old video games from when I was a kid and printing and folding zines, child. It's, yeah, honestly. Maybe I am stressed out because, there's a lot going on. Just, like, in general. Not just, like, with me, but just, like, in life. Just even outside of me, there's a lot going on. Like, It's getting to be a lot. Not quite too much yet, but we're getting there. And we're, we're 4 months into 2025, which is kind of crazy to think about. Because just yesterday it was January and cold, and now it's April and storming in the middle of the night, waking me up, because that happened last night, and hot. I'm hoping it won't be too hot during Couch Fest, but it probably will be. Let's be honest. Honestly, I'm hoping it doesn't rain. If that happens, I don't know. That'll be not nice. But I think it rained last year. Or something. I don't know. Anywho, so, I have said there's a lot going on, and I mostly meant, outside of me, but there are also a lot of things going on inside of me, This is funny, but, it was very much not funny at the time. Well, not what I'm about to talk about, but I had a lot of feelings about it at the time, and now I'm just whatever. But I've been going to therapy for, I don't know, 3 years now, something like that. Or maybe a little bit, 3 years just about. And I had my last session with my therapist, and I told them, I was having some issues of the heart. I was having some relationship problems, or rather the lack thereof. And I was just like, man, nothing is working. What can I do? I did not ask that. But I was basically saying, nothing is working. And, I mean, true. And so my therapist said, this might be a little bit controversial, which right there I was like, hold your horses. But they're like, this might be a little bit controversial, but there's this book that came out in 1995, and I think you should read it and maybe apply some of it. And I was like, okay, what's the name of the book? And they said The Rules. And I was like, okay, I'll look it up. And so when I came back from therapy, I did in fact look it up, and controversial was right, because what the heck? If some of you might know what I'm talking about, some of you might not. And for those of you who don't, I'm about to ruin your day. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you'll find some humor in it like I did. But basically, The Rules is a self-help book written by two women on how to get and keep a man. And, I was going to read this book out of curiosity. One thing about me is that I respect all forms of writing except for self-help. I think self-help books are really corny. And I'm sorry if you read self-help and you get something out of it, but I just don't think the answer to my problems are going to be in a book. I don't think a book written by a person that is not me is going to give me any real insight into my life and my problems. That goes for not just self-help books, but also the Bible. So, just that's the baseline that we're working off of here. And, I looked up the page count to see, all right, how long is this book? It's 190 something pages, I forgot, but it's less than 200 pages. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll try to find an EPUB of this, because I'm not about to buy it. I'll find an EPUB or a PDF of this book, and I'll just read it and see what's what. Because for the most part, I like the advice that my therapist has given me. I feel like I have improved overall in the 2 years that I've been in therapy, But this one, this is one of their misses. I'm just gonna say it. This was a miss for me. This was not the tea. Because there is, given that this book came out in 95, and it was I think it was pretty popular when it came out. There's a Wikipedia page, and this Wikipedia page lists out all of the 35 rules that are in The Rules. And so basically, like I said, the full title of this book is The Rules, Time-Tested Secrets for Capturing the Heart of Mr. Right. And also something about me is that I'm not one of those, 20-something women who is just itching and scratching and foaming at the mouth and chomping at the bit to get married and have babies immediately. Getting married at this juncture in my life probably is not the best idea. I feel like there is a lot that I could be doing aside from getting married. Getting married is not even on my list of priorities at this juncture. But, I was detailing all these things to my therapist because, I still catch feelings for people. And, 10 times out of 10, I have been, I wouldn't say heartbroken because that's a little dramatic, but this last time I was genuinely, legitimately heartbroken about it. So, I was like, I was still feeling things, okay? I was still feeling things. I feel things. I'm a feeler. In case you didn't know. So, I think this book is aimed towards women who are wanting to get married, which is fine. That's not something that I want for myself right now at this juncture at my 25 years of age. I do know there are people out there, women out there, who are 25 and have been married for 5 years and have like 3 kids. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie. If I got married at like 20, I don't even know where my life would look like. Like, it wouldn't look good. I genuinely don't think it would look good if I got married at 20. Like, yes, by then I had graduated college, but good Lord, I had nothing going for me. Good God. Like, what? No. I mean, I have a lot more going for me now, but I still don't think marriage, like, at this juncture is, like, a good idea. Just putting that out there. But anyways, that's the full title. And, I'm just gonna say it. After I read these rules, I was like, there's no way that I'm reading this book. Like, the rules is more like the foolishness, because this is basically just like a female manipulator guide, if you can call it that. So I'll just read out the rules. So the first rule is be a creature unlike any other, which is basically, so I'm gonna preface this by saying that I did not read this book, but I did listen to a podcast episode, which, again, even saying that sounds a little bit corny, even though I am literally sitting here making a podcast episode. But, some podcasts, a little corny. I will say that about my, I was going to say my countrymen, but that doesn't make sense. My cohort, the other people, my fellow podcasters, which I don't even really like calling myself a podcaster because, again, that just sounds corny. I'm just going to put it out there. It does. And hey, maybe me making this podcast is corny, but I'm not fresh and fit, I'm not like those two corny individuals. Like, I am just yapping, and I am not attempting to give advice. But anyways, I listened to the podcast, what's it called? If Books Could Kill, which is a really good podcast. I've listened to some of their other episodes as well, but they have one on the rules, and it kind of detailed, some of the more choice excerpts from the book. But essentially, be a creature unlike any other. It's basically, wear makeup and dresses and skirts and things of that nature, which, okay. The next rule is don't talk to a man first. And don't ask him to dance, which, were people like dancing like that in 95? I mean, I don't know. I'm not from that time. I was born in 99, so it was a little bit before me. But I don't know if the girlies were filling out their dance cards in 95. Dancing to Eurodance, I don't know. But don't talk to a man first. Which, I don't know, I think my therapist recommended this to me because I told her in the past that I have been the person to always make the first move with individuals that I was interested in. And of course, none of those ever worked out. So it's like, why don't you switch up your strategy? And it's like, I mean, okay, I guess, but then no one would ever talk to me if I never talked to them first. I mean, okay, maybe I am exaggerating a little bit, but no. Because, I mean, I feel like I already have a kind of leave me alone energy, which is helpful when I'm, like, at Walmart trying to do my grocery shopping, but not so helpful in other areas of life. So I don't know if that's exactly the way to go, but whatever. I've only been alive for 25 years. What do I know? Very little, it turns out. Don't stare at men or talk too much. Which, you will find out that a lot of these rules is basically like, don't make it seem like you like a man. And that's what it all boils down to. And I don't really know if that works. Because, I mean, listen, I'm not a man. I have not been socialized as a man. I did not grow up as a man. So, I don't know, maybe men are conditioned to go after women that obviously don't like them. But that doesn't make any sense to me. Moving on. Staring is crazy though. Don't meet him halfway or go Dutch on a date, which, I have watched. There's like a handful of like West African women on YouTube doing like, I don't know, relationship TikTok content. For whatever reason, a lot of them are like West African, like actually. Um, and so, there's a lot of commentary these days about going 50-50 and paying for dates and all that stuff, and it's like, I'm not indigent. I'm not, you know, out here on the streets. I have money. I could pay for myself on my date if I wanted to. I will say I've been on 2 dates in my life. The first one, it was a movie, and I bought both of our tickets. The second one was a little bit more casual. I went to get boba with this one guy that I had matched with on Bumble, and it was boba. So the drinks were like $7, but I remember, and I will never forget this because I was like, "Sir, why?" He, when we were up at the counter ordering, he very dramatically took his card out of his wallet and put it down on the counter. And I was like, what? I was like, okay. I mean, listen, it's $7. If you don't think I have $7, then I don't know what to say, but I'm not gonna lie, that was low-key funny. It was low-key really funny. So I don't really have a problem with paying for myself on dates, But I will say this, and I've always said this, mostly as a joke, but if the spirit compels someone to spend money on me, then I'm not going to tell them to say no, because it's hard out here, okay? If you want to be foolish with your money, then by God, who am I to stop you? If the spirit compels you to spend money on me, then I clearly can't stop you. But I'm also not going to be like, you have to pay for this, or you have to pay for that, or whatever. Because again, like, I have my own money, and if I can't pay for something, then I just don't pay for it, or then I just don't do it, or buy it, or whatever, So, anyways, don't call him and rarely return his calls. And that is just legit, like, straight up manipulative. Like, the not calling him is whatever, but I feel like if you don't call somebody or text them or reach out to them, because people don't like calling, I personally still like calling. I love yapping on the phone. It's great. But, to put it in a more modern twist, if you don't, I don't see anything wrong with texting first, but also, one thing that you have to keep in mind about me is that I have never been in a relationship. So I see all these things, and I think they're pretty ridiculous. And to be fair, they are ridiculous. But also, I don't know. Maybe I should just try some, it couldn't hurt. I mean, it might hurt somebody's feelings if I did all of these things. And I'm really not trying to do that, because that's not what I'm trying to do. But, it's like, I have tried, like, and I don't want to call it a strategy, because calling it a strategy is just, honestly, that's incel behavior. Calling dating a strategy or a game or anything like that, because at the end of the day, you're just a person interacting with another person, and that's not a game or a strategy or something to be figured out. It's just, you're just interfacing with a person, and that should come natural. It doesn't to everybody. That's fine. But, to frame it as a game or a strategy or anything else, I mean, this is basically just female pickup artist stuff. So, anyway, yeah, don't call him and rarely return his calls. Like, I will never not text somebody back. Like, if they're texting me, then, like, yeah, I'm gonna text back. I feel like that's just nice, that's just common courtesy, Anyways, always end phone calls first, which, again, this is just female manipulation strategy. Don't accept a Saturday night date after Wednesday, which I don't know about that one either, I mean, I guess there's I don't even want to say there's some merit to it because it kind of isn't. But, like, let's say this is not something that's ever happened to me, but let's say that, I don't know, a guy is like hitting you up at 7 o'clock on a Saturday, being like, "What are you doing?" You know, and they're trying to take you out. Like, I feel like I need some preparation. I need to like prepare myself, like mentally, to do that. If this is like, let's say, a new relationship, some heads up would be nice. 7 o'clock, not great. 7 o'clock in the morning, slightly better. However, I might have plans on Saturday nights. There might be a show that I want to go to. So, actually do things these days. So maybe I am busy. Um, Fill up your time before the date. I can't remember what they said in book If Books Could Kill about this one, about what specifically this said. So we're just gonna move on. How to act on dates 1, 2, and 3. How to act on dates 4 through commitment time. Which, interesting that after well, okay. I mean, you've been on what, 5 dates? I would assume the dates have like kind of ramped up in, not intensity. That's not the word to use, but ramped up in seriousness. So the first date is like coffee, and then the 5th date might be, I don't know, like a whole day event type of thing. So I guess I could kind of see how after, you're having whole day events with someone, it might, I don't know what I'm talking about. We're moving on. Always end the date first. Which, okay, moving on. Stop dating him if he doesn't buy you a romantic gift for your birthday or Valentine's Day. Which is interesting because, I mean, I don't know if this specifies how far along you are in this relationship, where you might do this, because, what if you start dating someone, or you start seeing someone, maybe not dating is the right word, you start seeing someone February 10th, and then, 4 days later, it's Valentine's Day, and, I mean, you barely know each other, so, I mean, how can he even get you a good gift if he doesn't even know you that well? I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I will say, I do like a good gift. I do like receiving gifts. I'm not going to go into love languages because I know they have an episode on the 5 love languages, which, by the way, I think, the book, the basis of it, I think it is kind of based in religion. I never read the book itself, but I have read about the book, and I think it is based in religion. So already, we're 86ing that. But I think at its core, there are some, certain people like to be cared for in certain ways. So I think that is not, completely useless information. But anyways, I do like getting a gift. I would prefer it to be thought out, So, I mean, I do like flowers, but, maybe I like a specific kind of flower. And I do like chocolate. I do not like the chocolate that comes in those Valentine's Day boxes. It was always so nasty to me. My dad used to. He doesn't anymore, even though he could. He would buy me those little, like, heart-shaped boxes of chocolates on Valentine's Day, and I never finished them because, I mean, I like chocolate. Don't get me wrong. But those are just, they're not good. I don't know what it is about it. They're just not good. I would prefer, like, a dark chocolate bar over that, honestly, chocolate isn't even my favorite candy. If you really want to impress me, don't give me flowers and chocolates. Give me flowers and fruit snacks. Love a fruit snack. Moving on. I love a Welch's fruit snack. Oh my goodness, it's the best. Haven't had any in a while. I am trying to cut back on spending, so I'm probably not going to have one for a further while. But man, Welch's fruit snacks. Anyways, moving on. Don't see him more than once or twice a week, which maybe that makes sense for earlier on, but again, I don't know how applicable that would be to a further relationship. But also, one thing to keep in mind about this is that this isn't just for when you're just starting to date someone. These are rules for life. You're supposed to continue this stuff even when you are married. So it's like, I don't know, man. what's crazy about it is that, I looked up the book on Amazon to see how many pages it was. And it had pretty good reviews on Amazon, like overall, which I know Amazon reviews is not, really an indication as to whether or not a book is good. I didn't look on the Goodreads. Maybe I should have done that. I feel like the Goodreads girlies will give you the real tea, but Amazon, maybe not. Even though I think Goodreads is owned by Amazon, but they're separate platforms. Um, no more than casual kissing on the first date. This I don't necessarily disagree with. I'm also not a girly pop who's like, "Ooh, I'm waiting for marriage." But I still, it's a safety thing. To me, it just boils down to a safety thing because, I'm not also one of those bozos that think that, oh, once you sleep with someone, you're like soul bonded to them, because that never made sense. Like, it does not make sense to me or to anyone, because what? But it's a safety thing for me, because, like, if I don't know you that well, first of all, you gotta stand 3 feet away from me, because, again, I don't know you that well, but, like, you have to pass the vibe check first, and, like, if you don't, then, like, you're gonna have to stand 10 feet away from me, basically. So, that one, even kissing, like, I don't know you that well, like, I don't know you like that, like, stop getting in my face. Of course, again, I'll have to remind the audience that I've never been threatened with any of these things before, but still, in theory, if I don't know you that well, you're gonna have to back up off me. Um, don't rush into sex and other rules for intimacy, which I can't remember what the rules for intimacy were, but I can't imagine that they were very good. Um, don't tell him what to do. I have to imagine that is probably something about nagging, which, whatever, that's like a whole other thing. But also, don't tell me what to do, That should go both ways. Book. Let him take the lead. And again, I think what was concluded, which I'm not done with all the rules. There's more rules. There's 35 of them, so there's more. But I think a lot of this comes down to, like, gender essentialism, where it's like, oh, men are supposed to be leaders, and women are supposed to follow the men and be dainty and not make the first move, which I don't agree with that, clearly, given that in every attempted romantic relationship that I've had, I have made the first move. So it's like, it's not working out for me. It does work out for some people, though. So it's probably just me that this isn't working out for. But, it's like, anyways, don't expect a man to change or try to change him. I think that's just solid advice in general, not just for romantic relationships, but all kinds of relationships. Like, trying to mold someone into your ideal version of them is probably not great, Probably not the best thing to do. Don't up and up too fast. Now, maybe, because, if you are just, like, sharing all of your secrets with a person and then all of a sudden you all aren't talking anymore, it's like, man, I just traumatized out this guy for no reason. But, I don't know, there might be some validity to that, but also, I think a little bit of vulnerability could work. I don't know how many times I have to say that I don't quite know what I'm doing, but still, I feel like a little bit of vulnerability could potentially help out in this regard. Be honest, but mysterious, whatever that means. So I guess tell the truth, but not too much of it. Again, just perplexing. Accentuate the positive and other rules for personal ads. Oh man, yeah, this is really old because we are not. Well, okay, no, because I think that still applies. Maybe there is an updated version of the rules for online dating. They don't go into it in the podcast episode, and I certainly am not about to read it. So, people aren't doing personal ads in the classifieds anymore, but, online dating, is a sort of personal ad, just in a different format, I guess. So I don't know. Don't live with a man or leave your things in his apartment. I've gone back and forth on this for a while. And for a while, I mean really only like the past like 3 or 4 years. Because I live alone. And I have been living alone for, again, in July 26th will be 4 years that I have been living alone. And let me tell you, it's so amazing. It's so great. I love it so much. It is the best thing ever. I love living alone. I love living alone and I love being unbothered. I love not being needed for things. I love people not, yelling around me. It's great. It's so good. It's like the feeling is unmatched. So, now that I have been living alone for this long, I've kind of gone back and forth on the topic of, what do I want my hypothetical living situation with a man to be like? And, I don't know if I'll ever be in the financial situation where I can do my ideal situation, which I will detail in a minute, but I think if I were living, not even with a man, just with another person, it's got to be in a big house or a big apartment. Like, I need to have somewhere that I can go to just be not bothered. Like, I need to have my own space. Because, currently my whole apartment is my own space. But if I were sharing it, it would be a shared space. But I need somewhere to be that's just mine and mine alone, and nobody else can go in there, and nobody can bother me while I'm in there, And as a kid, that's your room. But it kind of sucks to be sequestered in your own room, which is why now I like it that my whole apartment is my personal space. So I don't know if I would really like living, not even just with a man, but with another person, period. Because I really enjoy living alone. But as I intimated before, my ideal living situation, I think, get this, side-by-side duplex. They're mirrored. They have the same layout, but they're mirrored. I get one side, he gets another side. There's a door connecting it, and we can freely go to each other's sides, if we are permitted. And yeah, that's my ideal living situation, is to live in a side-by-side duplex and basically just have my own house, Because I think a lot of people are starting to realize that, married people don't have to live just one way. There are a lot of people that have separate bedrooms. There are a lot of people, Cheryl Lee Ralph, she's a perfect example of this. Her and her husband, she said, I have my job, he has his job. I have my house, he has his house. I have my life, he has his life. And they make it work. And she is always glowing when we see her. So something is working out. So whatever she has, it's working for her. And you know what? Maybe I can make it work for myself. And, interestingly enough, my parents, they don't have really a similar situation. But my dad pretty much lives in California most of the year. And my mom lives back home in Alabama. And they're living separately most of the year. And every time I tell people this, they think my parents are divorced. They are not. They're still together, married legally. And so, they visit each other a couple times during the year. My dad tries to make it for Thanksgiving and Christmas, although it's been a while since he hasn't been able to come back for Thanksgiving and Christmas, because usually he's, working. My dad works for FEMA, which, yes, I know, his job is literally at stake, even though, I've talked to my dad about this, about the whole no federal jobs being available thing and being invited to resign and stuff like that. And he is being really nonchalant about it all. And, my dad has been working for the federal government since the first Obama administration, maybe even before that, 2008 or 2009. So he's worked for the federal government throughout a few presidents, a few administrations. And so maybe that's why he's not as worried as perhaps he should be. But I don't know. Yeah. Aside from all of that, my parents are pretty much living separately, on different sides of the country in completely different time zones. But they're still married, and they still somehow, I don't know, I don't claim to know how this works, because really I haven't really asked them. And maybe I should, but they make it work somehow, living on opposite sides of the country. Distance makes the heart grow fonder, I guess. I don't know. So, it can work. not living in the same place as your romantic partner or your spouse. And, I don't really know the inner machinations of their relationship. Honestly, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't need to know. I'm grown. So even if my parents did split, it wouldn't really have that big of like, I don't know, not really to say physical consequences, but basically I wouldn't have to be like, oh, which parent am I going to live with? Because I'm an adult. So it's like, it wouldn't even really come down to that. But, I don't know. We're going to move on. Let's see. This one is super freaking obvious, and I find it hilarious that it even has to be put in here. But, maybe some things that are obvious to some people aren't obvious to others. But the next rule is don't date a married man. Like, duh. Like, what? Like, huh? Like, why would you? That is so very obvious to me, but not to some people. Not to some people. You'd be surprised. You would really be surprised. And we're not even talking about the girlies. I'm talking about the married men too. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. Let's see. Slowly involve him in your family and other rules for women with children. Now, I'm not really sure what this section means, but there are also some appalling individuals out there who will introduce random men to their children after knowing them for like a month, which that's a whole other conversation in itself. But yeah, and I'm assuming family life or involve him in your family. This is probably not like, or I don't know, maybe it is when to introduce your man to your parents or something like that. I really don't know. And then the next is practice, 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 or getting good at the rules. So basically, in order to get good at this, you're going to have to run through a few men. So, in order to really perfect it, you're going to have to do a lot of female manipulating in order to get really good. That's what you're going to have to do. Has it really already been an hour? Good God. Okay. Anyways, and this is the one that I was talking about before. If you're engaged or married, you still need the rules. Like, for what? You still got to keep the mask up, I guess. Do the rules, even when your friends and parents think it's nuts. Be smart, and other rules for dating in high school, which I can't even begin to imagine what on earth high school dating advice is going to look like in this book. Take care of yourself and other rules for dating in college. Next, and other rules for dealing with rejection. Now, this one is really funny. This one I found to be hilarious. Don't discuss the rules with your therapist. And I find that to be hilarious because, number one, why? Why are you keeping things from your therapist? I feel like there are two people on this earth, maybe there's two people on this earth that you really need. It is in your best interest. Well, three people on this earth that it's in your best interest to be truthful with, and that is your doctor, your therapist, and your lawyer, because they're all trying to help you, and they really can't do their job if you're not being upfront with them, And the good thing about doctors, lawyers, and therapists, okay, I don't know if lawyers are held to the standard, but doctors and therapists anyway, are on some level sworn to secrecy. So, they break that rule sometimes, but at the very least, it's between you and them. And maybe with lawyers as well. I actually don't know about that one. If there's like a lawyer-client confidentiality rule or something like that. Actually, I don't know if there is, now that I think about it. But anyways, those are like the three people you really need to be upfront with, because otherwise, it's not going to end well for you, essentially. So I found that one to be hilarious, given that, number one, my therapist is the one who recommended this to me, and number two, why would you lie to your therapist? That's not good. Don't break the rules. Do the rules. By the way, some of these aren't rules. Some of these are is advice. The rule of the rules is to not break the rules. Like, okay, do the rules and you'll live happily ever after. Love only those who love you, which, again, I think that, I don't know what the exact text of that one is, but I feel like, really spending all your time and energy on someone who straight up doesn't like or care about you is not a good idea. So, there might be something there. And the last one is be easy to live with. And this is probably again about something, some more gender essentialism, like don't nag and just clean up and make sure food is on the table. Yeah, don't want to get beat on, which dramatic, but yeah, that's the rules. I won't be reading this book and I won't be following those rules. I mean, some of them are kind of common sense, like don't date a married man. Like, you're just asking for trouble if you do that. Trouble and strife, that's all you're gonna get messing around with married men. And listen, I get it. Some men straight up lie. But that is why you do the background check for 98 cents on the websites. So, those background check websites, I've not had to do a background check before, but I've heard they're legit, those background check sites. So, honestly, again, it's just a safety thing, because the amount of times that family annihilators have family annihilated because of a lie that got spiraled out of control. A man lost his job and then kept pretending like he was working. And I'm not talking about a specific instance here, because I feel like this has happened a couple times. But let's say a man will lose his job and he's pretending like he's going to work for like months, and he doesn't reveal, or maybe he never even reveals that he's lost his job until, I don't know, he feels like it's too late, which I feel like a lot of these situations, they are very fixable. Like, even being in the most of debt, like, you owe $1 million to the IRS, like, you can do something about it. The something that you can do about it is probably go to jail, but still, that's that's better than, like, killing your family, but just an idea. And then that one girl who lied about being accepted into college, which, listen, as someone who has had, it's really only been the one parent, but one parent be really like aggro about your academics, I wouldn't go that far. That's crazy. But again, all of these problems are so fixable, and yet these people go to the extreme. I don't know. Listen, I don't know how I went from the rules to family annihilators, but we're going to move on. But yeah, that happened to me, not that, but the rules was foisted upon me recently, and I just had to share that because it was a wee bit ridiculous. I'm not even gonna lie. So, this topic of conversation is just a little bit shorter. But as I think, let me see, hold on. Let me double check this. Okay, so the day that this is going out, which is going to be April 9th, it will have been 1 year since I've done JXN Underground, and honestly, I don't think I could really be happier with how this little thing that I decided to do on a whim has turned out. Like, it really has, I don't know, it has made me very happy doing JXN Underground. It has, I can't even put it into words, which is so crazy, because I'm supposed to be a writer, but, I take time to think about things I'm going to write. I can't just do it off the dome, but it's been a year since I've been doing JXN Underground, and I am just so thankful for all of my readers, all of the people that have supported me and my work. I am just so happy how this has turned out, and I can't wait to see where the next year is going to take me, because I feel like it's going to be great. Honestly, so yeah, like I said, that's really all there is to it. It's been a year of JXN Underground, and it feels weird to say that it's been a year, because it really doesn't feel like a year, but it has been a year, and it's been a great year, honestly. So yeah, I wish I had my sparkling grape juice for this, but I don't, because I didn't think to do it beforehand. Oopsie. But yeah, so since we are about at an hour now, I don't really have, time limits or anything like this usually. But an hour is a good time for a podcast. So let's talk about some upcoming gigs. I did talk about going to gigs and stuff the last episode, and I went to none of the ones that I mentioned, which is really unfortunate, because I really did want to go to some of them, but sometimes I'm just tired. Sometimes I just want to go to bed, Sometimes I just want to lay down, but this next gig that I'm about to tell you, I hit the microphone. I really am gonna want to go to this one because on Friday the 11th, we have coming out of town. I can't remember where they're from, but coming from out of town, Sons of Gulliver, Red Beard Wall, Beneath the Kudzu, Die with Nature, and my uncles. They're back. Crypt Eater. It's their first show in like a while. They're coming back, and I cannot miss it. In fact, I think it might be almost a year. Maybe, because I think their last show was at the Punchgate incident. I think that really was their last show, and that was last May. Yeah. So it's been almost a year. I do know that some of the members of Crypt Eater do have a side. I don't know if this is their side project or their main project, but they have a different project called Susio that they've been focusing on for a while. And like I said, these are uncles, and they're probably busy. They're probably doing other things. So it has been a while since Crypt Eater has performed, and I will be there right at the front. And I will be seated, except I will be standing because it's at the Sunflower Oven, and it's pretty much standing room only. I mean, they have couches, but I will be seated, which is to say I will be standing there. I will be there, okay? You can hold me to this. Anybody that's watching this right now, if I am not at that show, you are free to make a call out post about me. You absolutely can do it. You can hold me to it. So that's on the 11th. There is another show on the 11th. The Akashic 45s and Junkie Cosmonaut, they're going to be at Urban Foxes on the 11th. And they're both at 6. So unfortunately, this isn't a situation like, oh, well, now I think about it, the Akashic 45s and Junkie Cosmonaut will probably wrap up before the Sons of Gulliver and Redbeard Wall show does, because this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a 5-band bill versus a 2-band bill, so you can mosey on over from Urban Foxes to the Sunflower Oven probably very easily, because the show will probably go on for a bit. And then the next day, the 12th, we have Rabid Venom from... I have seen them before. Yes, I have. Okay. Rabid Venom from Vicksburg. I think someone said they were from Vicksburg. Syntasia, who's from Clinton. Exorcism, who I still don't know where they're from. Yeah, I don't know where they're from. And Face Rot, who is a new band, I believe from Jackson. Oh goodness, I'm phlegmy. Oopsie. They're from Jackson. They've had a couple shows that I haven't been at, unfortunately, because of, again, tiredness. But I do want to see them. I want to see them. And they're a hardcore band. So, that'll be fun. Speaking of which, there has been, well, I won't say there has been because it kind of hasn't happened yet, but there is building up to be a kind of, I guess, hardcore resurgence in Jackson, with Crooked Letter Collective, which I think I mentioned them in a previous episode, but there is a new group booking shows here in Jackson. They're called Crooked Letter Collective, and it seems they really are focusing on hardcore. They have a lot of shows booked for May. I think it is mostly May. There's some, there might be a couple in April. Okay, I don't see any in April. There's some in May, and like June. Yeah, May and June. They have quite a few coming up, and they are booking them real fast. So if you are like some of the other old heads in Jackson and you were like, man, I just wish there were more hardcore shows to go to, you will have your wish granted very soon. Follow them on Instagram. Let me get their at. I think it's just at Crooked Letter Collective. Yeah, Crooked Letter Collective. They are booking a lot of heavy music here in Jackson. and there might be something of a hardcore resurgence coming about. Now, I will say, as for me, I am allegedly a person who books shows, and I think I just went too hard too fast there for a little bit, and it just kind of got me. But what I do want to do is that for the coming months I do want to start booking more kind of like local shows, and we all love having a band come from out of town playing for us, but I I do like a lot of these local bands, and I do hold them near and dear to my heart, and I think, maybe they deserve a little headliner. And also, maybe I will be booking selfishly. Maybe there have been some bands from like Hattiesburg or Vicksburg that I just want to see more often, that I'm just going to be like, "Hey, come to Jackson. I'll give you I'll give you whatever you want. Not whatever you want, but, you know, we can work it out." So I want to do some local slash regional. I mean, there's different local scenes, local slash regional bands. Okay, when I say Mississippi, I want to book some Mississippi only shows. I want to do that at some point, but I've just been so bogged down with like work and prepping for Couch Fest, which, I mean, realistically, that's not really, I don't know, it's been a lot mentally, just having to like think about it. I'm not even gonna lie, like that has occupied a lot of my brain space for some reason, even though, I mean, yeah, I am a little nervous about it. Like I'm nervous about it. I'm a little nervous about it. I'll say it. I'm nervous about Couchfest. Not because I think anything bad's gonna happen. It's just I've never done anything like this before. And I don't know. I think I still have some trauma. This is crazy to say. Because, I'm not the only person that's gonna be there. But, I have not hosted an event for myself, like let's say a birthday party where people were invited, since I was like 16, because, there's this thing that happened at my 16th birthday party in that, most of the people that I invited didn't show up, and then a bunch of people came that weren't invited, and then all of a sudden, like, not even that far into the night, everybody just like up and left, and it was like, okay, well, I'll never do that again, so I've never really thrown like a big party for myself before, which this isn't a big party for myself. So I don't even know why, where, what, who, you know? So I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Part of me is worried that no one will show up, which is crazy because, again, I'm not the only person that's going to be there. Like, there's going to be musicians that are well liked throughout Jackson and the surrounding area. So it's like, I don't know. It's just, there's a part of me that's like nervous, but for that reason, even though it doesn't make sense. If I may be vulnerable on the pod for a second, you know, it's like, are people gonna like my stuff? Are people gonna like me? It's that kind of thing, which I kind of hate that, but, Eddie is what Eddie is. So, yeah, I've been yapping for quite some time. I've had a headache like the entire day. I woke up with one. I had one while I was grocery shopping today. I've had one all day today. Like in the morning it was bad, and then it just kind of got dull to where I had to take an Advil. I had to take 2 Advil before sitting down and recording this. And the headache is mostly gone, but I feel like there's like a residual headache somewhere in there. I don't know. It's not great. But yeah, I have Couch Fest to look forward to. I have a lot to look forward to, actually. Emmy nominations get announced April 27th. So I definitely have that to look forward to. I am just trembling with anticipation for that because, that's the big one. Like, again, if I get nominated for an Emmy, I will never shut up about it. And if I win it, you could not pay me to shut up about it. Like, be for real. Like, honestly, this isn't the best admission to make, but honestly, the reason that I want to be Emmy nominated is just so that I can say that I am, that I can say that I'm the first Emmy nominated alumni of the Belhaven Film Department, Like, come on. like, I just want to be able to send, when I do end up winning it, because I will win. When I do end up winning it, I just want to get some nice 8x10s made of me and my little statuette and send them places. Signed. It's not every day that you meet an Emmy winner, so I could very soon be your Emmy winningest host. So, I want to win for like vain reasons, but also my work is good and I think it deserves to win. What can I say? What can I say about that? Anyways, this has been the 45th, I think, episode of the Running My Mouth podcast. I have been your host, Erin. Thank you for allowing me to run my mouth. And I made pizza in a cast iron skillet, and I really need to put it in the refrigerator. Also, I'm wearing my Reclaim the Empire shirt today because it's a little cold, even though I have my sleeves rolled up, but it is still cold. And I found out, I don't know if I said this in a previous episode where I'm wearing the shirt, but they broke up. Reclaim the Empire broke up, which is unfortunate because I really liked it when they came here, the time that they came here, like 2 years ago. So that's done so. But yeah, that's enough for me.